Oh god, I have to do an intro.
Should I help you with it? I mean, I'm not gonna say hello stream monsters this time, but
Alright, welcome back to the Vortex Gallery 2021 replay analysis. This is a special video, actually joined by DABOM, who we will be watching his replays. I messed that up, that's fine. Could I just go through, what is your mindset when you're up against Patchy as Iku?
so I mean, the general game plan is the same. You want to be just outside J2A range and keep threatening that J2A. But the difference is that normally Iku's pretty like she's fine at full screen. She can just throw 6Cs and not that much can hurt her. But Patchy's bullets are better both in terms of zoning and sniping. So it just becomes this game of me trying to fly around, just stay in that J2A zone as much as she lets me, and then when she stops throwing bullets, that's my opportunity to go in.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Alright, well, no further questions, let's get into the games. So that was a little bit of a... I feel like that's a bit of a tricky situation for you to be in if you're chicken blocking against Patchy, because she's got so many bullets and so many ways that she can kind of threaten you. Well, if you could have done something different there.
The way I got stuck in this mess was about 15 seconds earlier to this. I decided to fly over Zero Fuse, and I got myself stuck in the corner with no flights, and I had to land. Flying over Patchouli is really difficult for Iku because Patchouli has, 5C, J8A, all these tools that are very good against flyover. And by just, arbitrarily deciding to do that at the beginning of the game, before the round even started, really, I put myself in the situation where I'm just forced to constantly block in the air in the corner. And even though I border escaped against Patchouli, even if you border escape, you're still vulnerable because she has J8A, she has her bullets. It's difficult to land against her. And Iku's all about trying to land without getting hit, because once you land you get your flights back, and if you have your flights you can maneuver, you can play neutral, and so it's fine. But here I just messed myself up in the very beginning. That was super ambiguous.
Yeah.
There's that J8A stuffing the flyover.
Yeah, that J8A it's kind of interesting because it always seems to hit like in the spot that you don't want it to hit. Like if you get caught by J8A, I find it's so difficult to block that correctly because usually it happens when you're like above the HP bars and you don't necessarily know what side of Patchy you're on.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty rare for it to cross under because the hitbox is shifted pretty far forward. Like, if you look at the actual hitbox, it's not directly above her head, it's shifted to the front. And so getting crossed under by it is rare. It's just, it catches me off guard because it's so huge and it's so active, so I don't expect it to hit me all the way up there.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought that use of the J6A to kind of delay your landing a little bit was that was pretty ingenious.
I used J6A in the air. I might have misinputted, honestly, because I don't really do that as a strategy, because whiffing J8A or J6A is pretty bad unless you're very close to ground. It has like 40 frames of recovery or something, and Patchouli's very good at punishing stuff like that with 6-6B. So that was probably a misinput that just worked out in my favor.
Oh, sometimes that happens. We'll count that as a win and say that it was planned.
I think think I hit far 5A there, but 66C is faster. I think that border escape from Zero Fuse was really good because it guaranteed.
That was like that was a really nice kind of back and forth in the pressure and the defense between you there.
What he did that was really impressive was one for the D22. There's that large laser. That one goes infinitely up into the sky, like basically up until the edge of the stage, and he not only blocked it correctly on the right side, but he also border escaped like the first hit of it immediately, and he was out. And I can't chase Pachuli at that point anymore. So it was a very, very good defensive play.
I agree. Yeah, that was. It's hard to block things when you're up in the HP bar because you can't really see your character. Is there anything you can really do to stifle the land cancelled J6A? Because it...
No. Land cancel J6A is plus, and you need to BE it like perfectly, otherwise that catches you again. And it's also just, it's a strange option, like you don't really expect Pachuli to go for that. Like the J6A string.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of irregular, but that kind of makes it strong too. If you don't expect something, then it's gonna hurt you more.
Yeah, because it's still safe, so.
Jeez. We call that in the business dial C.
Yeah, I mean, Iku likes to do this thing where she flies over and hits your back, but you have to go such a wide arc around Pachuli that it's really predictable, and 66B just wins by priority.
Yeah, that is pretty correct. 66B, it seems weirdly fast. It always feels like I can't even like see it before it comes out. It's such a large move.
It's like 13 frame startup too.
Jeez.
But yeah, also 66B, so if you look at the hitbox priority, the bottom of Iku's feet for her hurt box compared to the bottom of J2A is actually not that much distance because Iku's very tall. So Patchy's 66B reaches higher above her head than Iku reaches lower below her feet. So if you're just comparing vertical there, Patchy always wins.
That's a really interesting interaction between the two characters.
Yeah, the only way it can win or trade is if Patchy does it late. If Patchy does it on time, she'll beat J2A every time.
So that D22 there, that was delayed on purpose, right? Would that have actually comboed if you'd done it?
If I did it perfectly, it would have been fine, but... Or if I did it perfectly with like perfect cancel, it would have comboed. But I did it on purpose to reset. That's like my preferred reset.
Yeah.
Because when you AIRTECH, I believe if you're in a bullet on frame 1, you can't graze it off of AIRTECH. So if you AIRTECH into D22, you have to block, or you just get hit.
Makes sense.
And of course, you saw that if D22 is blocked, Iku is super plus on the high jump.
Yeah, it's like weirdly deceptively plus. That is like that move is kind of slept on D22. Honestly, I'm seeing it used more and more now, but I didn't see it used for a while.
Well, in this matchup, I specifically don't use it that much because you use it to dissuade approach, but Pachuli's default 236 just goes right through it. It's denser.
How dense is that anyway? It's like the strongest bullet I've ever seen.
Patchouli 236 is B15, and EQ D22 is like B6.
Jesus, that is quite something. That was a nice choice of combo ender there.
Yeah, leveling the skill card. It's important. Iku needs to level her skill cards in this deck because I'm running Flash, the ult 214 that goes back or over my head, and that's a really important anti-air against slow Patchouli. And then I need Bolt so I can properly pressure this character because her defense after a border escape is really strong. So I don't want to let her border escape. And then finally, Bullet Drill is just my own personal preference. All three of the 236s for Eco are viable, but they do very different things. I just like the bullet one because it just does the things I want it to do. It's good in combos, it's good in pressure, it just does everything you want.
And it's a lot of chip damage, right?
Oh yeah, level 4 it does 700 chip damage.
So is your plan in River Mist here to kind of stay back and try to level up skills?
Because no, Iku can limit in River Mist, so I just go in. Because the risk reward becomes extremely tilted in Iku's favor, so if I hit him with J2A, I can still just limit.
Sorry, that just feels a little... It just always feels wrong if somebody actually benefits from River Mist, because it always just feels like the weather that nobody wants, you know?
No, I love it. I wouldn't go as far to force it, but if it's there, I love it, because I have, you know, these tools like 6C, J2A, Bullet Drill, J6A, all these massive long-range hitboxes that I can just combo with, and it's very simple to get limits with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. Now that crouch there that Zero Fuse was doing, how that really kind of effectively stifles your approach, right, with J2A, because it makes it really hard for the move to land.
Luckily Patchouli's crouch it's not too short, but it's also wide, which makes it a little bit easier to hit with J2A. What happened there was I had a bad flight path on the way down, and so I realized that my J5A is not going to hit no matter what I do, so I just didn't do anything and I blocked on landing, which made it safe. And I was able to, because Zero Fuse was expecting a hit. He just thought, okay, I got him, he's going to hit, that's fine, but he didn't expect me to block. And so he went into this full string, 2A, 2C, Satellite Sunflower, and right after this freeze frame, I just J2A him and I get a punish, and I can turtle out Sunflower with a bolt. Because delay bolts, you can release at any time. And even if you're in blocks, then you can just release it, and if they're not blocking, then they get sent up to the skies.
Yeah, true.
So you see, I land, I ready a bolt, and then I'm just waiting for him to come to me.
That works out. Mixed results.
There I thought I had flash, but I didn't.
Yeah, I kind of figured. The C version, would that have comboed off of the J8A there?
Flash would have comboed off of J8A, but I don't think I had any spirit for any bullets at that when I hit J8A, because you see I'm already pretty low in spirit right now. Mm-hmm. I just did J8A, fell down, and the flash was intended to dissuade AIRTECH bullets, but I didn't have flash, I had default, and so I just threw out a random default.
It happens sometimes, man. Don't worry about it. Would a 214 the default? Would that have actually comboed off of that last 6C? Like the J6C there?
I'm not sure. I think because the thing is 6C does high damage and it's really fast and it's great in combos, but it prorates extremely quickly if you use it too much.
Yeah.
And D214 is a pretty slow bullet. I think my idea of J66, J6A, like a forward air dash J6A was correct, but the spacing was like pixels off and it didn't hit. The D214 definitely would not work.
Okay. Well, not like it really mattered in the end. Still won.
Yeah, it worked out. He tried to border escape J8A, but he did it on the third hit, and he got hit by the fourth.
Oh man. Yeah, that some of these moves, like the ones where they hit multiple times, but they don't like stop you from border escaping, like Reimu 2A, Yukari Pinwheel, Iku J8A. Like those are always so hard to border escape. Like,
Yeah.
it's ambiguous whether somebody's gonna get that to work correctly, even at a really high level, as we see here.
Yeah, the nice thing is about moves like, because Reimu 2A, all the hits are very fast consecutively, but then you have moves like Iku J8A and Patchouli Second Dial that hit multiple times slowly. You can change where you cancel, and so you can just get a very easy mix-up by, you can cancel off the first hit, off the second, off the third hit, or in J8A's case, off the fourth hit. And if they try to border escape, they have to guess exactly which hit you're going to cancel off of. So if you just let J8A full ride all the way up, and they border escape it poorly, they're just getting hit.
Yeah, that I didn't actually think about that, but that is kind of a really difficult thing to guess if you're defending against one of those moves. I didn't think about the slower ones actually being like more damaging in that regard. But anyways, game 3. This is 1-1 right now.
Mm-hmm. That time he gets wrong off the
Yeah,
AIRTECH.
he guessed wrong. The D22 there. It's hard to guess that one right. It might have just been a fluke before, but it's still hard. Cross ups and cross unders, all of those things. That's a large portion of just it's so hard. It's so hard to defend in fighting games.
Specifically for D22, when you're air-teching into it, it's really ambiguous when your air-tech invincibility runs out. So there's no clear way of knowing, am I blocking left, am I blocking right? You just pick a side and guess. So it's a really good air-tech catch.
Yeah, that makes sense. D22 is, again, it's so slept on. It's so strong. It's got so many applications that are good.
Yeah, but bolts are even better, so...
Iku! She's so strong. Ooh, that was the 6-6B J2A.
Yeah, that was the
interaction,
6-6B beating J2A again.
Yeah. Never mind, Iku's weak. She can't do anything. Yeah, if you hit a J2A, sometimes you can just combo off of those, even if you actually get, like, smacked pretty far, right? Like, you can
in that case, those AirTech J2As were, I mean, I was constantly putting myself into range, but it wasn't really a good idea. What Zero Fuse did wrong was he didn't expect I did it twice, and so or maybe he was expecting it, but he didn't expect that there would be so little untech off of the J5, or off the 5C. Because the first time I got hit by, and after I air-teched, I got hit by 2 bullets, and he heard a counter hit effect. So he assumed that there would be more time until I'd have to tech again. But because there was a second hit, the counter hit on air-tech was removed, and because there was 2 hits, there's a bit less on air-tech on the combo itself. So I was able to air-tech like a frame earlier than last time, and the second J2A hit. But really, this isn't strategy, that was just me mashing buttons.
So this is why the mashing of the buttons work, even though it was just mashing buttons. It's good to know. It's good to know why things work, even if you're not doing things because you know why. You know, it's sometimes you know what works, even if you don't know why, just from sheer intuition. So knowing why, it helps to kind of define why, but at the end of the day, you just kind of mash, and if it works,
yeah. At the end of the day, like when you're in the moment, you're not gonna think 1 frame, 2 frame. You're just gonna think AIRTECH, J2A, UNGA BUNGA. You know, let's get those trades.
Hell yeah. That was kind of a weird defensive option. I feel like Zero Fuse should have escaped there because in the instant air J2A, it's just like a free escape most of the time, right?
Zero Fuse was fishing for he was looking for me to do a reset, and he was fishing for gears. So I just did bullet Oki, and he didn't. Since he was thinking of the wrong option, he wasn't ready for it.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was wondering why like that incredibly heavy, like the bullet heavy pressure was working so well. I just figured that you had gotten a whole bunch of respect from him out of nowhere. I didn't see the spell cards. When you're holding reversal, you start expecting melee.
Yeah, because unfortunately, since it's a 2-card reversal, it doesn't graze, and so Iku can actually do very, very strong pressure with just bullets. 5C is tight into itself. You have 6C that can just instantly stuff any mashes from range. Bullet Drill lasts forever, does a ton of spirit damage, does a ton of chip. And like you can see, Flash is this really good delayed bullet that I'm going to follow up on. And I can just throw out melee buttons behind Flash, because even if he hits the 2 card, at best he trades, and he just wastes 2 cards.
Yeah, that's true. So if you hit with the Flash and you're hitting the melee as well, it sort of, you're hitting with bullets and melee at the same time, so there's just like no way to win. It's kind of a checkmate.
Correct. You need a true reversal to get out of that.
Would J6A have been like? Would that have made the combo work there, or did you use J6A?
She was too low for J6A. That's why I went for the J2A. The correct combo there was J5A, J6C, backwards air dash J2A. It would have still been tricky to limit, but I think I had enough flights to do it, because after that I would throw a bullet down to the ground and just chase it in J2A after.
Okay.
So I think that should have worked, but I'm not sure.
Man, that sprite looks so messed up. I never really saw it, but the flash, it looks so weird.
Well, this is 6C.
Oh, yeah, true. Lightning.
That's Flash.
So you used Veil there because you were, like, out of orbs, right? Like, that's a good time to use Veil.
I was looking more at my health than my orbs.
Oh, yeah, that's an important
Like,
thing to look at.
Magic can crush pretty quickly, but, like, I just got tired of blocking. That's when you use Veil, really.
It's a fighting game, not a blocking game.
No, like, I just don't want to be in your pressure anymore. Bye.
Yeah, that's an Iku moment for sure. You got greedy there, didn't you?
I went for 2A 6C. I think if I went for 2A 3A, I would have actually low profiled the droplets and I might have hit him.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were going for, the 3A, but I think that it might have messed up either way. That was pretty ambiguous. I probably would have gone for it too.
I probably could have gone for something like 2B and high jumped out and it would have been safer, but I tried to end the round right there.
Yeah, of course. It's a really, really tempting thing to do.
I think I also land canceled a J2A too early when I was going down there, so that messed it up a little bit too.
Oh man. Again, not like it really mattered.
Yeah, it worked out.
I will have you know that I labbed that combo out so many times for like the previous video. It's gonna go up like sometime tomorrow. But I see you go for that combo so many times in replays, and it is so hard to get off. Is it just actually that difficult, or do I just suck?
So the reason I go for it is because off of 4A, the only other way you can limit at mid screen is 3A, and 4A 6C just works way better. It works more often. There's higher damage. If you get air unblockable 4A, 3A just whiffs.
True.
So that's why I just autopilot 6C. The link after high jumping is, since I actually messed around in trial mode and I made some trial mode combos for Iku, and one of them was this combo path. The link for the J6C after high jumping is around 4 frames, and depending on which of those 4 frames you hit, you get a slightly different combo.
That's I that makes sense actually because I was in practice mode doing the combo. It really depends a lot on the spacing from 4A as well, right?
Yeah, I think for this one I did 4A high jump up. High jump forward was more correct because you saw me go for J5A there, but it just whiffed because it was too high. If I went for high jump forward, the J5A would have just landed because the height was correct.
Yeah. That was a pretty good pressure string from Zero Fuse there. The 6-6A, it's kind of underused. I feel like some moves, they're like kind of good, but they're much better if you don't use them frequently. Because then you can kind of use them as a gotcha sometimes, like there.
Yeah, I mean 6-6A is also like one of the only skill cancelable. I think it's the only dash attack in the game that's low and skill cancelable, but I might be wrong.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Because I can think of some other low ones, like for example, you have some 6-6Bs like Suika, Komachi, Reimu that just go low, and then there's also
Yeah,
Racing, but they're not skill cancelable. Pretty much
yeah,
every other 6-6A in the game hits high
that's true.
or mid.
That was a really nice one. That was a cool conversion.
Yeah, the J5A reland is something I picked up after watching a Kuroneka replay like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's really nice because you get the corner and you get the full combo, and you get it for one orb of spirit, and it's more optimal than other one spirit combos.
Yeah, and we can actually see that it's quite literally one spirit. We see the spirit orb. There it is. It is gone. For the low price of one spirit orb, you too can do 1,822 damage. It's a really nice ender. That backdash was really cool from Zero Fuse there. I like that. I feel like that was the only option that would have actually stifled the instant air J2A there, wouldn't it? Or would crouching have done the same thing?
Crouching should do the same thing for Patchy. Most characters can just duck under instant air Jade's way if I high jump. If I normal jump, it hits every crouch in the game.
Okay.
But yeah.
That was a really cool, that was a really satisfying set, honestly. I like that one. It was cool to watch. There was a lot of times, I like how whenever you reset, it was always like really snappy and fast. Like both the AIRTECH from Zero Fuse, like that was fast and you really adapted to how fast that was. You just kind of
Yeah,
went for it.
you kind of need to do that against people that hold AirTech. Uh, if they're holding AirTech, they're kind of, they're hoping for your combo to drop. And so what you do is you try to limit your combos, but then every now and then you just kind of get like an idea and you go for a reset of some kind. It's especially effective against Patchouli because a lot of Patchouli's options for AirTechs, like she gets J5C, J2C, those options just get stuffed by a lot of Iku's AirTech setups. D22 just completely wins immediately because she techs into a bullet hitbox. I also have stuff like J8A, which is really meaty, so even if you don't get the timing right, you can still hit him with J8A. You can also just, high jump out and fly back and let her throw some bullets, and you go back in and the neutral's in your favor.
Yeah, those are all really strong options. I didn't realize how well Iku does against air-teching opponents, but she's got like a whole kit made for it. It's really
Kind of.
strong.
Well, she has tools that work for it. Like, as long as you don't actually drop combos, you should be fine. And even if you do, there are some combo drops that you can still reset off of. But, for example, if you, like, whiff a J2A or a J6A, like, block and pray because you might not even get enough time to block afterwards.
Oh man, I know that feeling. Whiffing moves never really feels that great. Especially the ones where it's like, oh god, I'm just gonna get punished.
Yeah.
Alright,
But,
well,
yeah.
Any final thoughts on the set? Any final reflections you have after watching it again?
Um, I mean, on a basic level, the first game I was going in way too hard, and in the second and third game, Zero Fuse was going in way too hard. The problem with playing Iku is that it just becomes a test of who gets impatient first and who suicides in neutral first. But Zero Fuse also had the interesting problem where Zero Fuse was restreaming some of his games because Tessero's stream wasn't working at the time. And so he had a large viewership on his stream that were spamming emotes, like audio emotes on his stream. And personally, when I play in tournaments, I mute every other bit of sound. I just focus on the game. If Zero Fuse is playing and he's trying to focus on zoning me out and not being impatient, and there's 50 people in the chat spamming me con, I don't blame him for getting impatient.
So truly, the pride was the downfall of Zero Fuse in this set. I see. That was... I didn't think about that, but yeah, he was. He was streaming like the whole thing.
Yeah, and you can see like in the third game, there were a lot of times where I just like hit him on wake up. So one of Pachuli's interesting facts is that if she texts and she's mashing buttons, she can actually vary her wake up by 2 frames. And so a lot of Oki that Iku likes to do, like for example Far 5A, 4A, they don't really work because they whiff. But luckily 2A has 8 active frames, so I can 2A and I can just hit it no matter what. And if 2A hits meaty, there are some setups where, for example, I'd hit it meaty and they right block, but I'm still plus. And if they're just mashing after right block, I get a free hit with 4A and it's a full combo again.
That... I had no idea that that was a thing. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, meaty melees on wake up are a very underused tool in Soku in my opinion, because you have characters like Yuuko, right? Yuuko love to do 6-6A meaty on wake up because they're plus like 10 or something. But other characters can do it too, really. Like for example, you can do it with Reimu with 6A. If you get a right block, you might still be plus. If you get a wrong block, it's just a reset right there, free orb. Because everyone blocks low initially against Reimu because she doesn't have a... Her only high is like 6A, right?
6A, 6-6A as well, but both of those,
6A.
like, if you block them right, most of the time, it's just like...
Well, 6A has some active frames too, so you can probably meaty with that as well. Like, the point of a meaty is that if a move has, let's say, 10 active frames, and you hit them with the first frame, then the other frames are essentially wasted and added to recovery. But if you hit it with the 8th frame, for example, that's 7 less frames of recovery because they're in block stun for the same amount of time, but you're recovering earlier. So those kinds of options are very good in Oki because one is just you can get grounded Oki and they can't high jump. You're just throwing a button out there and if they do anything but block, they're getting hit. And 2, it's potentially a free orb before your pressure even starts.
Yeah, it's also like it's such a safe option for Okizeme because Okizeme is like one of the most hard things to pick up when you're starting out in this game. It's the most esoteric concept to me, and that's like it's a really basic way of thinking about it. Is just a meaty move. It really encapsulates everything about Okizeme because it's just a move that you set up to hit your opponent when they wake up, and like a meaty move does that so well.
Yeah, and you can do stuff like there are some 6-6Bs and 6-6Cs that you can use. Like I know Reimu uses and Komachi, they use their 6-6B as meaty Oki. And even though it looks minus as hell, it's a frame trap because they hit it so meaty that they actually plus and they recover first.
That always feels good.
Like I use Iku 6-6C as meaty Oki a lot because 1, it just chases down those really long texts sometimes. And 2, the move is 20 active frames. It's -4 on right block on the first frame. So if I meaty it and they wrong block it, I'm plus like 15.
Christ.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's a rewarding and easy way to do it. There's some other gimmicks off 6-6C because the move is skill cancelable when you land cancel it, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I'm probably going to perish editing this tomorrow.